Hello friends, Tal here, and welcome to another Legion Beta build video. Today is July 6th. It's a Wednesday, and there was a Legion Beta build yesterday, Tuesday, the 5th of July, that has a couple of interesting changes for all the tanks. But more specifically for Demon Hunters and their rotation and what the feeling of playing them is going to be like. And I'm going to go ahead and get into that right now. So, first, before I get too specific, I just want to mention something about all the tanks. All of the tanks got their spec-specific, sort of, I guess, how do I say this? But the things that give them extra stamina, what makes them be more tanky than normal people and have more health. If you can see here, Demonic Wards is the Vengeance variation that gives you, it basically allows you to reduce magic damage by 10%, but also increases your stamina by 20%. That has been buffed to 45%, and your armor by 120. All of the tanks have some sort of passive like this that gives you just a base stamina buff. And all of them have been buffed. Some to varying degrees, but all of them have been buffed up. Now, in the artifact traits, you have something that is going to be buffing your stamina and the amount of damage that you do every time you spend artifact points. It's not something that I think is going to be usually visible in your artifact traits, but basically the more points you spend in your artifact, you get like this passive just thing in your artifact that makes you have more health and do more damage. It's weird. It's kind of doesn't seem like it's that necessary. But that, along with some of the other artifact traits in the tree that give you a stamina boost, have also been nerfed. So you can see here, for example, Will the Eldari, which at max it used to increase your stamina by, or your maximum health by 30%. Now when it's maxed out, it only increases your stamina by 6%. So it looks like they front-loaded that stamina game to just the passive effects each tank has, and then they reduced them in the artifact traits. I'm okay with that personally. In the sense that I would rather just not have it be so reliant on the artifact bonuses. But I don't know if mathematically speaking that is a health hit to all the tanks. I have no idea. It could be that with this change at the high end, once you get maxed out, you'll have less HP than if you had the artifact traits being boosted up, for example, the 30% maximum health there. I don't know for sure. I'm not a mathematician. But I would, if anything, regardless of what is, whether it's higher or lower or whatever, it happened to all the tanks. It's across the board, and I personally would rather just have it be in the passives. I don't want to be relying on the artifact traits. There's too much shit going into the artifacts already. I don't want something else like that being in there. But anyways, now on to spec-specific changes. So first of all, we have Vengeance, Demon Spikes. It now is going to cost 5 pain instead of 10 pain. And you can see here that it says 100 pain and 50 pain. For some reason, I don't know why, but when they data mine, Vengeance Demon Hunters have like an extra 0 on everything. So where it says 100 pain, that's 10 pain. Where it says 50 pain, that's 5. I don't know why. It's fucking weird, but you always have to take those things into consideration. Demonic Wards, I already talked about that. They increased the stamina boost to 45%. And then Metamorphosis got nerfed. It's going to last 15 seconds, not 20 seconds, so 5 seconds less, which is a nerf, but I'm okay with, because again, you pop in a Metamorphosis randomly through your artifact traits. No other tank gets their big shield wall just popped in intermittently when they're playing the game. So I'm okay with them nerfing Metamorphosis by a little bit. It just kind of sucks that, it has a really cool visual model. I want to see that more often. But again, you pop into Metamorphosis randomly. It's okay for 5 seconds less. It's fine. 15 seconds should be more than enough to deal with any specific mechanics. If it's not, well, fuck. But you also then generate 7 pain every 1 second, not 10. And then shear has been reduced to 7 pain generated. What does this mean? You're going to be generating pain in intervals of 7. And you're going to be spending pain on Demon Spikes in intervals of 5. Then you have your Soul Cleave, which can consume between 30 to 60 pain to be used. Essentially what they're doing here is that they're reducing the amount of pain that you're able to generate by yourself. You see, the thing about Vengeance Demon Hunters and Prot Warriors, the thing that kind of makes them similar is that they both generate resources from damage taken. The only difference being that while Prot Warrior relies much more heavily on taking damage to get the rage, Vengeance Warriors were in a sweet spot where, yes, they regenerated some resources from taking damage, but it was more like a 70-30 split, where 70% of your pain was generated by you, Some of it through, spamming Shear all the time and Fellblade. But then, you had the 30% that was from damage taken. And that's okay. That's a fine system. That felt good to play. Basically, what I'm getting from people talking on the beta, I haven't actually had a chance to test this out yet, but it has slowed down the rotation greatly. It seems like maybe this was a targeted nerf to how often we were pressing Soul Cleave. Maybe they didn't like how often we had Soul Cleave up. And it's definitely shifting and making it more balanced, almost to a 60-40 split of how much damage you're taking for resources and yourself generating the resources. The good thing to know is Immolation Aura still gives you 20 pain over time. You still have access to Fellblade, which is like resets all the fucking time. You still have Shear that you can just press and press and press and press and press. It does get really fucking tiring of pressing Shear all the damn time. I hope that Fellblade stays competitive, because pressing Shear all the time for that pain generation is kind of a bitch. But essentially, it is a targeted nerf to the survivability of the Vengeance Demon Hunter just a little bit, and making sure that when you press Soul Cleave, it's more meaningful. This has the opposite effect, though, of further bringing Fracture down. At this point, with the other changes to Soul Fragments, to the changes to how much pain Soul Cleave takes, because it could take up almost your entire bar and leave you with no pain left over to just save, and with the changes to now how much pain you're generating through Shear and through Metamorphosis, it's kind of killing Fracture. Unless they do something big to change the way Fracture works, maybe change some of the values or how much of a resource it costs, Fracture is kind of seeming like a dead talent, because you really can't afford to have that pain just kind of go to waste. Its 2 Soul Fragments don't have the same value anymore. The damage it does is not as much as Soul Cleave, and Soul Cleave just does more damage when you get more pain. So it's kind of killing Fracture. Sucks a little bit, but it's very interesting changes. It's going to change the rotation, and my biggest fear is it's dragging it down to that point where I was talking about Blood DKs and Prot Warriors. One of my issues with them both is their resource generation. Blood DKs have, honestly, fairly poor generation of resources. The runes don't generate very well. And then Prot Warrior just kind of feels, okay, and that died. So I guess we'll just kill it. Well, GG. Anyways, Prot Warriors, they have some rage generation issues when they're single target. I'm not super happy about this, but I think it might be okay, specifically because we still have access to Fellblade, we still have access to Immolation Aura, and you can still take Blade Turning at the later talent tiers to get even more pain generation. I think it'll be okay, but make no mistake, this is a targeted nerf. The other thing that changed is it looks like they maybe made Fell Eruption do a little bit less damage, and then of course some artifact traits changed up. They reduced the damage of Immolation Aura, which is going to reduce the healing from Charred Warblades. Soul Cleave, they've also reduced the healing from there, reduced the damage of Shear, and just reduce your max health. So, targeted nerfs. We'll be super fucking honest here. They are indeed nerfs. If you care about Havoc, though, it looks like they just got a haste buff to their Metamorphosis, which is nice, because Metamorphosis just kind of changed 2 of your abilities. Didn't really change everything that you were doing. I needed a little bit extra there. Oh, and Fellblade. Fellblade is going to be generating you 14 pain. So you're not generating it in intervals of 10 anymore, you're generating it in intervals of 7, which, as you know, Shear used to give 10 pain, Fellblade 20. Now it gives 7, Fellblade 14, so it just doubles up. So still good that we have access to that, but again, targeted specific nerfs to the pain, resource generation, and a little bit of the survivability of the Vengeance Demon Hunter. Is it going to bury them? I don't know. You can see here for Blood DKs, they're Veteran of the Third War. Again, it's that passive boost to stamina. They got it to 50% instead of 25%. No other real changes. That was the only real thing that was changed there. Besides the fact that Death Strike now costs 45 runic power instead of 40 runic power. Again, specifically targeting self-healing of these 2 tanks and making it so you cannot do it as often. 5 runic power doesn't seem like much, but again, they have some resource issues. It's just going to keep slowing it down so you're not doing it as often. I wish they would buff Death Strike a little bit, because it still heals for shit, but, what are you going to do? The other change is Stone Skin Gargoyle, the rune. It's going to increase your armor by 5% instead of 4% and increase all stats by 5% instead of 3%. So just a little buff there for them. Druids. Okay, so Wowhead is having some issues staying alive, I guess. Which is fantastic. It's definitely fantastic. Wowhead. Okay, we'll do this. Yeah, I don't know why, but Wowhead always has some issues just staying up, and then the fucking The web page, I don't know what's going on with Wowhead. I don't think it's my computer, and I don't think it's my web browser because I have Google Chrome. But I don't know. Wowhead has some issues where like ads pop up on the sides and they kind of just slow everything down. I get redirected every once in a while. It's such a popular site. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some nefarious ads lurking. Not through Wowhead's fault, of course. Not their fault at all. But maybe their advertisers aren't the most trustworthy of people. So Guardian Druid's Frenzied Regen is going to heal you for 50% of all damage taken in the last 5 seconds over 3 seconds. I believe this actually used to be 50%, or I think it used to be 60%, got nerfed to 50, then 40, and now it's being buffed back to 50. But either way, it's a little buff there. They added Rake to the Feral Affinity. Nothing too crazy there. Bear Form, the passive, again, just more stamina. So nothing too crazy there. Again, Brewmaster, Blackout Strike. Looks like it's just going to do a little less damage. Breath of Fire has some numbers changes. Keg Smash as well. Nothing actually rotation changing in there. Let's see for the general spells. Nope, nothing there. And we look at Protection Paladin. Again, the passive stamina boost is going to be boosted up to 30% instead now. Let me read this. I want to make sure I don't mistake anything. It looks like potentially Consecration is going... No, this is Retribution only. Never mind. This is Retribution. Okay, so all these are Retribution changes. So let's keep looking here. Then we have Fraud Warriors, which again is not going to be really changed too much. Some of their spells are going to be having some numbers changes. It looks like Shield Block did get changed to a 13-second recharge rate instead of 15 seconds, so that's actually pretty big. It's really nice. I definitely not that Shield Block is the star anymore. I feel like Ignore Pain is going to be definitely the star of Protection Warrior, but it's nice that they went ahead and buffed Shield Block just a little bit. But again, just the passive stamina change. So overall, all the tanks, passive stamina boosts got boosted up a little bit. Some of the artifact traits got reduced, so it's being more front-loaded instead of back-loaded. And then the big changes to Vengeance Demon Hunters, Pain generation, and the resources. But that's it for that, guys. If you like this video, go ahead and subscribe. Give it a like if you really, really want to. And stick around for more content like this. Thank you very much.